All opinions are those of the participants making them and are not an endorsement of any position, program, religion, or political affiliation. DFG's Corner is for information, observation, and entertainment. I ask that you comment, like, share, and subscribe.
With that was Miss Summer, by the way. What I was saying in that regard is that yes, frontal lobe, yes, you don't get it full. Your mind ain't full grown at 25. Yes, and yes, that's true. However, had if it was Usher and y'all heard the rumors, I'm I do I he don't get the benefit of the doubt, or Justin Bieber. We didn't look at them we didn't, of course they ain't gonna say nothing because that's a whole different story, but I don't think it would be getting as much, oh, poor Usher, poor Justin Bieber. Allegedly, not saying that like I said, it's all rumors. Don't try to sue me.
I don't agree with that.
But but that's just how I look at it. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I agree with you, but a lot of times males get looked at as men, even though women, don't get looked at as in that same vein when it comes to responsibility, accountability. That's one of those things that we don't always eye to eye on.
So hold on. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that you don't feel that people are going to be as harsh on Justin Bieber or Usher if it comes that comes out that they also participated in situations.
No. That they were
abused.
Like Cassie was abused.
Oh,
because it's alleged that they were abused as well.
I don't agree with that.
Because hey, cousin, this is Dawn. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
I don't agree with that because the issue allegedly with Justin Bieber and Usher allegedly is that they were allegedly abused as children, and the abuse continued, through their adulthood. So it's not necessarily that it's men can be abused as well.
Oh,
the fact that their abuse began when they were vulnerable children in the and they were and the adults around them were responsible for their care. That is the part, like when I see Justin Bieber and even Usher, but Justin Bieber's been in the news a lot lately. When I see him, my heart breaks for him.
I agree.
He has a song, it's called Lonely, and I cannot listen. I can't listen to the whole. I break down and cry because he is a pitiful soul. Mm-hmm. I feel just as bad for him as I do for Cassie. His life is ruined too.
I think they're all just
but I think, and if he were to come out and say this is what happened to me, if Usher were to come out and say this is what happened to me, I think we would get a lot of the same reactions that Cassie is getting. But I think because they are men, that there's a different type of fear there.
Definitely.
For telling their story.
Now, let me say this. I will admit, I don't know if you remember in the Me Too movement, when all the women were coming out and then Terry Crews came out and said Me Too and said someone tried to claim or do something to him. I will admit, after I was like, this is foolishness. And the reason why was because Terry Crews was a full-grown man, and we all can see how big and built he is. Now, if you allowing some man to touch and feel on you for a part, I feel like that's a choice.
Yeah, yes.
But yes. Justin Bieber
and Usher as children, and everybody knows that they got into the industry as children. I feel like that is a completely different story.
And Usher has said that flavor camp was devastating to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying about their age when it happened. I was saying if they were 19 and they got with and they they went that same route, they would not get the same, it wouldn't be like, well, you're a grown man. And that's what I meant. I understand I kind of use them just to say as examples, but I should have been more clear with that. But I mean, y'all, neither one of y'all saying nothing lying, because like Dawn said with Terry Crews when he and that's
that
the thing
Kim.
is, yeah, it was
It doesn't matter.
Us, Dawn and Kim.
Yeah.
Oh,
We together. Well, we
at
the same table. That's what.
But what I'm saying, ladies, is that it's not all that. Most of that stuff is not about sex.
No, it's about power.
It's about power and control.
And everybody, and I say from me to everybody, has a price. It's depending on what price you're going to pay. And Terry Crews said he was willing to pay that price. He's living good now, but like y'all said, he's got to deal with what he had to go through.
Yeah, and I don't feel sorry for him. I still don't. But I will say, again, I dated someone who told me that, his virginity was taken when he was like 15 by a 40-year-old. And I looked at him and I said, you were raped.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
You see what I'm saying? And so I and when I said it, he kind of retracted back. And I was like, no, a lady raped you.
Yeah.
Like she took advantage of you because you were a child. And so, I think we do have to have those conversations about the abuse in boys. And I do agree with that. But I will say, I feel like when you're a full grown man, like I said, like Terry Crews, because that was happening to him when he was like, he said it was like, I think in his like late 20s, early 30s, like you're a grown up. Yes, you're a grown up. That means that you made some choices.
Yeah. No, it's everybody makes a choice. It's just it's just, how much are you willing to pay for your choice?
Exactly. And in that same breath, let me say this, Andre. I say the same thing about Bill Cosby's the people who he offended, the women he offended. A lot of those women were in their late 20s, early 30s, and they went out with him, and then they woke up without their underwear, and then they went back out with him. That's a choice.
Yeah.
That's a choice.
Fame is a hell of a drug, Kim. Fame is hell of a drug.
I get it, but it's an active choice. But again, so you see what I'm saying? Like that is an active choice.
Oh no, I
actively.
But the thing with Puffy, one of the things that he does is he preys on people who are
young and dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
Hungry.
Yeah, and also people who he knows whose families he can take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. But R. Kelly did the same thing,
right?
But but the thing, what the sad part with R. Kelly situation, I read an article that a guy from the Chicago Sun-Times did. This was about 10 years ago, and most of his fans were blaming the girls.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
like they shouldn't be too fast. I'm like,
but the handwriting was on the wall because he's been doing this since he started in the industry.
And I'm gonna tell you, I had a friend say the other day, we were talking about the Diddy trial, and she goes, Diddy's a monster. He did horrible things. They need to let R. Kelly out of jail. He never did anything close to that. And I was like, I got to get off the phone with you. Because this is the thing. When you're talking about money and power, what would R. Kelly have done if he had Diddy's power and money?
That's true.
Oh, no.
He didn't have opportunity.
Actually, R. Kelly did do that, and he did those to his wife.
Okay, so see, opportunity.
But a lot of that, when you're dealing with people with that kind of money, with long money, make more in a year than we all of us in here for a lifetime.
But you know what? Not even really. it's not the money, it's who you are innately.
Yeah.
Because there are people who have money and they also have integrity.
Oh, I you should have been on my show last week, Dawn, because we talked about I said that. I said money doesn't make you a bad person. Money just